Mm.
I see you and I hear you, Mike.
Okay, good. Should I meet, I don't need,
Meeting for June the 23rd, 2022. We as a commission operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. As our meeting goes along, each applicant will present his or her request, and the board will have time to ask questions and discuss the project. After that, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address before you speak. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes the members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, and property owners and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with the other appropriate boards. That being said, we'll move to a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Vanessa Curran. Vanessa's not with us tonight. Chelsea King.
Here.
Ann McGill.
Here.
And Michael Splain.
Present.
Mike is here virtually. Okay, the first. I'm sorry, Mike?
That was me. You're all
Oh,
set.
sorry. First item of business tonight is a request for certificate of compliance for 23 Congress Ave, DEP file number 14-1354.
Good evening, Bob Griffin on behalf of Dr. Stasio, the applicant. Dr. Stasio lives at 23 Congress Street, and you may recall about 2 years ago, he had a building addition under construction. His contractor had managed to get the work started without the appropriate permits. The work was then stopped. A notice of intent was filed, which you guys approved. The work has now been completed, at least as much as Dr. Stasio wants to get done. He had 2 building additions on his plan back in October of 2020. He built the first-story building addition. He did not build the second-story building addition. The area, you may recall, had a crushed stone bed and 9 helical piles supporting the addition. So it didn't really require a whole lot of ground disturbance after we got going anyways, but the building addition is up, it's complete, it's per plan, and we'd like to get a certificate of compliance.
Okay, was there any waivers required for this, Georgia, or was it all outside of the 50?
The building addition itself was within the no-build zone, but the disturbance was outside the no-disturb zone, so.
And everything's been returned to suitable condition?
Everything's stable, and the landscaping is underway, and it's got some daylilies growing next to the building foundation. It looks nice.
Okay, good. Okay, I just had a few questions. Chelsea, do you have any questions?
Yeah, could you point out just where within the no-build, the construction was?
There's a pointer on the podium to help you with identifying the spot.
So just that.
About 30 feet long and about 12 feet wide. This portion of the addition is within the
Okay. Yeah, I have nothing else.
And we granted a waiver for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Ann, any questions?
No, no, thank you.
Michael, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and then everything's done according to plan, is that what we're hearing, Georgia?
Yes, correct.
Okay, if someone can make a motion, we can issue a certificate of compliance.
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 23 Congress Avenue, DEP file number 14-1354.
Is there a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Great, thank you
You're
all
all
very
set.
much.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you.
next up is a notice of intent for 47 Collins Street. The applicant is Old Salem Village. We've had this as an open hearing before, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so the applicant has requested that we continue to 7/14. I guess since it's an open hearing, if there's any questions from the public, now is the time to ask. Okay, hearing none, someone can make a motion that we'll continue to 7/14.
I make a motion that we continue 47 Collins Street, DEP file number 14-1375 to July 14th.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 3 is a notice of intent for 41 Choate Avenue, DEP file number 14-1376. I believe this hearing has never been opened. Is that correct, Georgia?
That's correct.
Okay, so we can just, someone can make a motion that we continue at,
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 41 Choate Avenue, DEP file number 14-1376 to the next meeting on July 14th.
is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 4, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 152 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1381. I think this has been an open agenda item before an open hearing, so before we vote to continue, as the applicant has asked to continue to 7/14, I would have to see if there's any public comment. Seeing none, someone can make a motion, we'll continue until 7/14.
I make a motion that we continue 152 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1381 till July 14th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 5, 175 Water Street, DEP file number 14-1384. I'm sorry, it's a notice of intent. The applicant is a Pioneer Charter School of Science. And who is here to represent the applicant?
Hi, good evening. Devin Morris, Project Wetland Scientist for Hancock Associates here. We also have Deborah Colbert here and the applicant for Pioneer Charter School of Science. So we had a site visit yesterday, which we had a conjoined site visit with the PBD Conservation Commission because this is in front of the PBD Conservation Commission as well. The project is on the town border of Danvers and Peabody, and our proposed work is within the 35, 50, and 100-foot buffer zone to inland bank on the Danvers side, and the 100-foot buffer zone within the Peabody side of the proposed work. So in regards to our site visit that went yesterday, we thought that it went very well. We're hoping to kind of open this up now to the commission, ask any more questions that they may have in regards to engineering or wetland science aspects of the project, and we're hoping to get an issuance of an order of conditions this evening. So I'd like to kind of just give the board and time any questions that they might have.
Okay, well, I had most of my questions answered yesterday, so I guess first off, we'll go to Chelsea to see if you have questions. And
Sure, I apologize. I wasn't able to attend the site visit, so I'm a
worries.
little out of the loop. Was there any discussion of the landscaping that was gonna happen on this project?
We talked about what was going to happen in regards to the native compensatory restoration of the inland bank. So that is going to be, that's why we're here to request a waiver in order to kind of, that area is a lot degraded per se, so there's a lot of trash along the bank there behind Onion Town Grill.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're really just trying to enhance that area, clean it up. We're gonna have to reduce a lot of the invasive seed bank there because there is quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we have submitted a landscape plan. So if we actually, Georgia, do you mind going to that real quick? Thank you.
Need a couple seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Take your time. And in regards to that, that's more what we're doing. There is some sensitive for another native species along the bank there, which, you know, obviously more so cleaning it up. And I think it's a major improvement to the resource area. And it's 35-foot buffer.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, so we're gonna be planting some trees along here, some shrubs, and then there is gonna be a post and rail fence here, just to kind of act as a buffer. We are proposing a school here, so we want to make sure children stay out of that area, and also create like a buffer between the pond and the property itself.
Right.
So.
Okay. And was snow storage ever discussed? Because this is, you know, parking lot, large paved area. Where are you planning on
Absolutely.
storing snow?
Yeah, do you guys want to kind of note on that?
I don't think it's, I'm sorry, Deb Colbert, professional engineer from Hancock Associates. On the grading and layout plan, we show snow storage, but our intent is not to have any snow storage on the upper side here.
Okay.
We've graded the property so that about where the 50-foot is, 50-foot buffer zone, all the water will drain towards the parking lot and then be treated with infiltration systems and catch basins so that
I can hardly hear her.
snow storage or from the project will be
Deb.
towards wetlands.
Sorry, you gotta stay near the microphone, only because
Sorry.
a member at home can't hear.
Sorry. So.
And there is a pointer down there,
I found it.
or a laser pointer, whatever you have.
So the 50-foot no disturb area is right here.
Yep.
And so we've graded the property so that the drainage from the 50-foot will drain towards the parking lot and not drain towards the wetland. And then snow storage will happen all below that. We're gonna have some snow storage here.
Okay, so the first and last spots you indicated, I think, still fall within the 100-foot. Do we want to keep snow out of the 100-foot, or is it good as long as it's outside the 50?
If they can accommodate it, then yes, we would prefer it if that's what the
We would
commission wants.
prefer it outside the 100-foot
Yeah.
buffer zone if possible.
Is that something the commission can condition? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all my questions for the moment. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Let me just change the order.
Yeah,
Mike,
that's
any
okay.
questions?
Just quick, I've reviewed everything, and I've been at the last hearing, but I wasn't able to make the site visit. But there was an issue, or someone had raised an issue of a pond. What was determined with regards to that?
Yeah, great question. That pond is not, they raised the issue that it was a vernal pool. It is not a vernal pool. So we came to that conclusion during our site visit as well.
What is it in?
It's just a pond. So it's a larger, consistently inundated jurisdictional resource area. More or less, I did not check if it was a habitat for predatory fish, but the vernal pool evaluation can only be conducted versus in regards to a certain time frame. And we're not in that time frame right now. So it is between the months of April through May, excuse me.
So will the pond require some observation to make any determinations?
It would have to be a vernal pool communal species habitat, excuse me. So In regards to any evaluation, I think it would have to come from any residents, any personnel who are looking at the pond, seeing any, for example, spotted salamanders or wood frog egg habitat. So
Right.
just to keep that in mind.
Could you just point where the pond is on the plan?
Yes, I can. Let me see. Are you able to see? Right here?
Looks like George is indicating it with the cursor too.
Trying.
I see it. I see it. So is that on the property?
So it encompasses a little bit right here where the property line is. The inland bank kind of encroaches a little bit, but it is off locus here. So there are a few residences. There's a single family house or some sort of residence here as well, that kind of are in between our property and locus over here. Just to kind of give you a better idea as to what's going on.
Okay, and I'm just curious, where's the water and sewer coming from?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Where is the water and the town water and sewer coming from? Is it coming from Peabody or Danvers?
It is coming from Peabody.
Street? It's coming off of Pulaski Street?
Hello, Deb Colbert again.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. The water and sewer are going to be coming off of Margin Street.
Oh, okay. I follow you.
And
So,
And there's,
just beyond Water Street on into Peabody.
yes, sir.
Okay, and, what else did I want to ask you? Oh, yeah, is there a requirement for soil testing on this property?
We did do some soil testing. We've done borings for around where the building's going. And then we also did soil testing for the stormwater systems. And that was conducted about a month and a half ago. And,
Yeah.
yep,
The soil testing for, for like, any gas or oil or anything, there's nothing like that to be concerned about?
correct. We did a phase 1 soil geotechnical evaluation, and we did not find any findings of contaminants.
Okay, those are all my questions, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Ann, do you have any questions?
No.
Comments? No?
No, the site visit answered everything for me.
Okay, I'm sure there are members of the public that would like to make comments. No? Guess not. Okay, now this project, I mean, from what I saw, my gut feel was that it was a good project. From what, our jurisdiction shows, this is quite an improvement. So that being said, I think the first thing we have to do is we have to vote on a waiver. Is that correct? To work within the 35?
35 and the 50,
And
just
the
say within the 50, which covers the 35 as well.
Okay, so if anyone can make a motion, you can grant that waiver?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Peter, that we grant a waiver of a requirement to allow the applicant to do work according to their application within the 35 and 50 feet. No disturb, no build zone.
Okay, the motion's been made, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and just one quick comment. The plans show that there is plantings in the affected area. So, we can't issue a certificate of compliance until we see that.
Yes.
So,
That's it.
we have to make sure that happens.
Can I suggest 2 years monitoring 75% survival of shrubs?
We'll do the
100%?
boilerplate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
perfect.
And then I also wanted to note, the commission had brought up last time possibly putting no disturb markers on the proposed split rail fence. if
I
the
just wrote myself
commission
a note, so
wanted to implement that as well.
with that,
I
with the
think that got
waiver or with the
mentioned,
order of
but-
conditions?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of them myself, but yeah, it would be with the main motion, with the order.
Right.
Okay, so let's vote on the
On the
waiver,
waiver.
first off. So the motion's been made and seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on to the main motion, the notice of intent. If someone can make a motion that we issue an order of conditions to the applicant?
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 175 Water Street, DEP file number 14-1384, with conditions like,
Signs on the fence.
sign,
Signs on
the no disturb signs on the split rail fence that was proposed, snow storage outside of the 100-foot buffer. Was anything else suggested?
And then I'll just reference the standard landscaping, maintenance,
Standard
and
landscaping, like
To ensure.
monitoring of 2 years, 75% survival rate. And that's it.
Okay,
Could you just talk about the placement of the signs, how many and how far apart?
Would they just be on the posts of the fence and?
Yeah, we have the fence here, so I don't know off the top of my hand how long that fence is, but
usually what we have done, Mike, is the condition in the orders that the applicant works with staff to place them. And what our standard is usually every 25 feet, so that depending on how many posts they have on the fence, it's probably gonna be every 5 posts. And we, the
okay.
town, have the placards, so we'll go out there when they install them.
Thank you.
okay, any other discussion? No? All right, so the motion's been made and seconded, so we just need to vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so you're all set. So that's
thank you.
3 years from now, right, until they have to complete. So-
Yep, I'll be in
Good
front
luck.
of you in just a minute.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so next up is
Chevalier.
a notice of intent for 7 Chevalier Avenue, DEP file number 14-1386. The applicant is Joseph Rocco.
Stand up here? You wanna stand up here? Good evening, Commission members. Devin Morris, Project Wetland Scientist for Hancock Associates, here on behalf of Mr. Joseph Rocco for 7 Chevalier Avenue. Once Georgia has the plan up, I'll talk a little bit more, but currently there is an existing pier float dock system within riverfront area to a single-family home. The dock system currently has a concrete platform in between the coastal bank and Saltmarsh resource area and riverfront area. So,
There we go.
thank you, appreciate it. Awesome. So we are here before you asking for an issuance of an order of conditions for a proposed pier dock float extension out into Porter River. That extension adds about 270, approximately 275 square feet of length to the existing pier dock float system there today. Actually, could you, sorry, I hate to interrupt, could you go to the Hancock plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I have that. Please hold just a second.
Yep.
I know it stops the flow. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
This one?
Just shows a little bit of existing conditions today. Yep. Yeah, so we tried to highlight our resource areas as well, just so we could kind of see what's going on. So I'll talk a little bit about them first. So we do have an existing coastal bank here, which is at the top of the riprap slope. Sorry, I forgot that he can't hear me without the microphone. Right here. And then we also have Saltmarsh. Our other resource areas within the proposed limits of work include tidal flats, mud flats, which are all encompassed in a coastal beach resource area. And then we have land under ocean as well. So currently, now existing, we do have floats that are seasonal and they do sit on the mud flat. So what we're trying to do here is reduce our impact to the coastal bank, reduce our impact to any of the salt marsh resource areas by not touching anything within those areas as right now, leaving everything that as is from the pier down to the concrete platform existing. And then we're just proposing to go out and extend to get more deeper water. This is a single family home, residential use, private residential use, and in regards to the mud flats, I think this is a beneficial project because we would no longer have the need to reside the floats on the mud flats. They would be consistently in the water, reducing our temporary impact there, and reducing any impact that we would have to the salt marsh and coastal bank as well by leaving everything as is. So all of the work is consistently through the mud flats, tidal flats, and out to land under ocean. And we do realize that Danvers has a pretty significant bylaw, so I'm hoping that a lot of the verbiage within the notice of intent shows how we're in compliance with a lot of the said performance standards set in place by the Danvers bylaw, but we understand that the Harbor Master and the South Essex Sewage District do need to comment on this project. We have sent the notice of intent to them. I've been in direct contact with Mr. Mike Wilson, who is one of the engineers over there as well, waiting for his comment on the project as well. So I think more or less I'd like to open any detail specifics on the proposed dock, pier, float system to our marine structural engineer Craig Sams, who is here with us tonight as part of our project team, and any other questions that the commission may have in regards to the project.
Okay. So are you,
Open it up to
I
you.
thought there was more of a presentation.
Okay.
Okay, first off, how it juts out at an angle, so that whatever structure's there is gonna stay, and then it's gonna be new going out?
Yes, so this structure, can you guys see this laser pointer?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we are.
Oh, excuse me, 1 second. Mr. Bradstreet, can you see the laser
Yes.
pointer?
Yeah.
I'll deal with it.
Okay, good, because you could move closer.
You can move closer.
Okay, I'm sorry, just,
No, that's okay. So we are proposing to keep this structure here and then connect our proposed pier system right here, and then our gangway right here with our floating docks. So just to give everyone kind of an idea as to what's being attached to what. So our gangway and docks that are here are going to be relocated out here. So we're gonna reuse where we can, right?
they'll
That's
be off the
kind of the
mud.
goal, yeah. But obviously we're trying to obtain deeper water here, so we do need to extend quite a bit out over the easement of the SESD and then getting out into the navigable edge of our navigable channel here.
okay, how deep is the SESD pipe?
The pipe, is that what you're talking about, or the easement? I'm not too sure. Joe, do you know? Okay, I'll have to get back in regards to how deep, but that's a good question. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. Yes, yeah. And so this is more or less up to what their standards are, because this is removable. So we can, if they need to go in to do maintenance in regards to the pipe, we are able to remove this section and get it out of their way.
And your piles will be out of the easement, outside of the easement?
Correct. Yeah, they are 20 feet away from the easement on either side. More than 20 feet away.
Okay, I could ask a bunch of questions, but I'm gonna give other people
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
opportunity.
Yep.
So, Chelsea, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I know it got brought up for a second. What is the reason that it's at this angle, as opposed to just going straight out from the existing pier?
So, this angle specifically is going in regards to, actually, you might, Yeah, so why don't you come up and note on that? Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Joe Small. I'm a professional land surveyor from Hancock Associates. The orientation of this is based on the direction of the property line heading out to the river. So that's the
Okay,
reason it's
I
going that
see.
way. You can see that a few of the piers head out in a different direction, but we believe we have it correct in where we have it now.
Okay, because yeah, I was looking at that one down at your neighbor there. Makes a weird little pocket between the two of them.
It does.
Yeah. I could ask a lot more questions too, but I want to hear from the fisheries department first. So I'm gonna pass it on now.
Okay. Michael, you have any questions?
Yes, I have some questions for now, and I'm sure later I'll have more, but the mention of you mentioned 275 square feet. What were you referring to in that, in your presentation?
Yep, the length out to the edge of the deeded rights of our applicant, so which is
But did
actually
you
the
mean
edge of the
square feet or
navigable
linear?
channel.
Did you mean square feet or linear feet?
Linear feet,
Yeah, because I wrote down you said
square
square, but you,
feet, yep,
I did
thank
hear
you.
that too.
Thank you for the correction, yep.
all right. So, but you're adding 700 square feet, and this is all to get to what you're calling navigable water,
Deeper water, correct, yep,
and what others refer to as permanent water or permanent
correct, yep.
thing. So, and it seems like we're starting a precedent where people want to extend their piers. How does that affect navigation for other people, kayaks, boats, smaller boats and things, as you extend out an additional, are you extending out an additional 275 feet?
No, and in regards to how it affects those who are kayaking, boating, using the navigable channel, we're looking for a lot of guidance from the Danvers Harbor Master in order to give us comment as to where, we want to, work with the Harbor Master in order to maintain that deep permanent water, but also act in compliance with those who are also sharing this body of water. So
Okay.
that is the goal here.
All right, so, yeah, so there needs to be more discussion on that.
Absolutely.
When you talk about the existing system tends to lay flat when the tide's out, is that correct?
That is correct, yep.
And these are not, Georgia, for staff, Georgia, these are not situations where we have standoffs to keep that from happening, or it can't be done?
For the floats that are in existence,
Yeah,
so there's no standard that they have to follow now to keep them off because it's a newer requirement. If Mr. Rocco is proposing something now within the flats that wasn't, a permanent pier, then the footing standards would apply.
all right. Are they going to apply with this newer project?
So Devin, on the mud flat parts, is that portion
Yes.
permanent pier, or are there's no floats, correct?
That's correct, yep.
So is the piers will not be sitting in the flats?
Exactly, yeah, the floats that are in the flats now are gonna be relocated to the end of the new pier to be used as floats that will be in permanent water at all times. So
Yep.
there's no new floats in mud flat.
So in the summer, you would have access to that channel all the time. Well, what happens when you have to pull that in when the winter comes, correct?
Craig, you might be able to actually comment on this a little bit better. Do you want to come up here? Yep, thank you.
Craig Sams with WSC, a structural engineer. I believe the intent is, or what Joe's been doing in the past is taking the floats and putting them on a mooring, right? So I think that is going to be the same practice.
Well, I'm wondering, so maybe we can get that from the harbor master, but what's the requirement? You can't just leave those out there, for as long as you want. There must be some requirement as to when you can put them out and when you have to bring them in?
The Conservation Commission does have a requirement, but as indicated, if the applicant has alternatives such as putting them in a mooring out in the river all winter long, that is acceptable, and we have seen that. So if he does not do that, then they need to be kept on land out of the 100-foot buffer off the bank with certain conditions. So I think we would need clarification before an order is issued where the applicant will be keeping the floats in the off-season.
Yeah, and finally, for now, one more question is, how much further are we extending from what you have existing?
Oh, let's see. It's doubled.
Didn't I hear 275 feet?
It's doubled.
That's what I heard, and I'm wondering if that's the amount that gets extended, that much further out?
Yeah. So we are at 105, 365, and
You don't have a linear foot measurement there?
Sorry.
I'll have to get back to you in regards to that question.
Or can we scale off can we count these numbers? The 55,
absolutely.
55, 55?
Approximately from this point out.
Yeah.
Good point, Georgia.
Ish. Plus the gangway.
Yeah, it's
well,
about 200 feet.
more than that.
So you're coming out an additional 200 feet from where you are,
Yep.
Yeah.
and everything beyond where you are is new, and are you using existing from where you start the extension?
We are using our existing floats, and we are using the existing gangway, which is about 105 square feet, and then we have 6 by 20 floats. So they are going at the end here. They're just being relocated. So we're trying to
Okay.
reuse where possible. Yep.
Yeah,
That's a good
well, we're
question.
gonna have further hearings on this, I'm sure, and
Oh,
we need to hear
absolutely.
from the harbor master. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, thank you. Ann, any questions?
6 by 20 floats
Yep.
are, okay, those are the current
Those
ones
are up
that
to standard. Yep.
that you're using. I thought we had smaller floats.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
I'll double check the bylaw, but I feel
I
like
believe
Devin
it's
may
6 by
have
20.
ran
Yeah.
it the most recent. We allow minimum 2 6 by 20.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All
Yep.
right, that was the one thing I wanted to check,
Yep.
since we had major debates about the size of the floats in the past.
Yeah,
Okay.
And another kind of thing that we are doing, we are using steel piles instead of wood
Okay.
piles, which
Okay.
is something
Yep.
that the commission should be aware of. In regards to that, I mean, it was recommended, so.
Remember that conversation. That's all.
Something that-
Yeah. that-
And these are meeting the 4-foot wide and the 4-foot height limitations?
For the pier,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, so we're trying to keep it more so what it's similar to now in existing conditions, which I believe is a little bit less than 4 feet, right? So we're trying to maintain that existing condition going out as well. So that is below the threshold that is under your bylaw and under the regulation.
And then per chapter 91, they do need to provide access underneath the pier, as I think Chelsea or someone had brought up, for kayakers, and that accessible
yeah.
access that will have to be provided under the chapter 91. So if it's not covered here, it's covered under the DEP.
Is the Chapter 91, do we know the status of that?
We will have to, so we have a current existing Chapter 91 license. It doesn't expire for another 4 years due to the push off from 2008, 2012, also the 462 tolling day period. So we are going to amend either or, amend the existing license or file for a new license to encompass everything that's currently licensed and then propose conditions. So I have been in contact with.
That's not a hurdle you need to get over. You already have the license, right?
No, we already have an existing license. Yep, so we have an existing license for the structure here. But we do not have a license for this structure, as we're required an order of conditions in order to apply for that said license. And I have been in contact with an analyst in order to get that started once we receive issuance from you.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thanks. Are there any public comments? Sir?
Sorry.
Sir?
Oh, yeah,
Could you
you-
just come up to the podium and identify yourself?
A little curious here. I definitely, Tim Carr, just a resident. I definitely kayak this area, and so I'm interested the height of the pier, the distance between the height of the pier, the bottom of the pier, and the high tide. Is there any idea of like how much space at high tide will be under this pier?
So they'll have to provide for the DEP at high tide under the pier. They need to provide passage. I believe it's at least 4.5 to 5 feet
Okay,
at
so
all
it's-
times. So that takes into account your highest tide on average.
Awesome. And then on this chart here, can we have an idea of where the high tide has water? I'm sorry, where the low tide has water? Do you know what I mean? Like you're going out 200 and whatever feet. There's a reason for that. Is it the jagged line out here? Where is the water actually at low tide where a kayaker could come through? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. So our what we have on here is we have mean low water, which is at elevation negative 4 point. I believe that's or 82, and then mean. Oh, excuse me. Here you go. Is that one?
I think it is.
Yeah,
I'm reading that
mean low
here.
Water line, yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So.
That makes sense because
Yep.
it's a little bit past your existing dock.
Yep.
And now you're trying to get past that. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Any other questions?
Anyone else from the public? Nope.
If we want to speak in favor of it, do we go up and speak now or later?
Now.
My name is Jim Bartlett, 8 Chevalier Ave, Danvers, 100% in favor of Mr. Rocco's project. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay, now there's two open issues on this. The harbor master needs to comment, and the harbor master is not gonna comment until the SESD makes their comment,
Correct.
right? And that's waiting for both of these projects. So I'm just saying, we're just gonna continue till we hear that. That's,
Yeah, if the
direction I
applicant's
would like to
agreeable,
go.
that's what I would suggest.
and as an add-on to that, I think, once we do get that, these are both next door to each other, right? Choate Ave and Chevalier Ave. I'd like to get down and see both.
Okay.
So would I.
We can schedule those separately, just to provide attention to each. I'm not sure if the applicants would
Yeah.
want to hold them together, but we can coordinate, I'll coordinate directly with Devin for this site visit for this.
Right. Well,
project.
well, it's two different representatives, isn't it?
Yes.
If we can, I would love to ask the commission if we could schedule maybe a site visit tonight, if we could coordinate something, or I can work with Georgia. That's
I
totally
think
fine.
it's better to work with Georgia.
Okay.
And we would
great.
want that before the July, I think if we can clarify tonight, if you guys want to, when you want to.
Before July 14th hearing. Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
So is
Thank
the
you.
commission okay with that if I schedule a visit?
Right,
Yeah.
Great.
but do we have any
Yes.
idea on the timing from the SESD?
No. I can check in with them and see what the holdup is, but knowing that there's been consultants doing their due diligence, kind of asking, and it's been a little slow, I have a feeling it may not.
And after that, we want to see what the harbor master has to say.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's just, because we're getting out into
Yeah.
the channel. Is there any room to bring it back closer to shore?
I'm sure, but we haven't looked into that too much yet. We're just awaiting for comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're,
Just
everyone,
one question, Peter.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
To Georgia. When we go out, does it matter where the tide is, high, low,
I would suggest a low tide, so you
Yes.
guys can get a very good look at the salt marsh and the resource areas. Mr. Rocco has a beautiful home, beautiful site.
So schedule for low tide then, I would like that.
I'll
Right.
find that
Georgia,
perfect.
maybe a weekend.
That 78-degree sunny day.
Yeah.
would be
What's that?
preferable.
Yeah,
It may
that
be,
too.
a weekend may have to occur if Devin, if you do
Oh,
weekends.
rats.
Okay. That way we can get the full commission and low tide on a non-after work hour.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just
it's-
one more question or more comment, maybe Georgia could jump in, but what is changing here? I mean, there seems to be an increased interest in increasing piers out to navigable water. Has something changed with the river, or is it a preference that's changed? Or is it because we're allowing it?
I think Danvers is a waterfront community that has waterfront properties that are either becoming more available than they have been in the past. Just the nature of real estate and waterfront, it slowly encroaches into areas where it hasn't before. I mean, you look at Tibbetts Avenue 10 years ago and then look at it today. Nothing
Right.
physically has changed about Tibbetts, but just the market interest has. And then by nature, the waterfront properties, being able to provide those piers and docks. And then I think people sitting at home with COVID going, all right, I live on the water, I want to use this, I didn't go on vacation, I'm not doing the home edition, let's build out what we have. So I think that's also what's happening.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for that.
All right. Well, we look forward to having you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it on behalf of my client. So thank you again.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay, so have someone make a motion, we'll continue to our next meeting, and hopefully we'll get some responses from the,
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 7 Chevalier Avenue, DEP file number 14-1386 to our next meeting on July 14th.
is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so, see you in 2 weeks,
Thank you.
or 3. Is it 3 weeks till next meeting?
You don't have to
Yeah.
stay if you guys don't want to. If you want to do a mass exit before the next hearing, that's fine.
All right.
Just gonna wait 1 second.
Good job. We'll be in touch,
Excuse me,
okay?
sir? Sir?
Yeah,
Do
she's home.
you have a son, Tim?
Interesting.
Okay.
It's good for you guys.
It's a neighbor of mine, we're just a new neighbor, he's building a new house on Canada.
Yeah, right, that's him.
I was just talking to his wife this morning, and he said, yeah, we live down in Danversport, and
Are
it's
you
funny,
jealous
he came
you're
up and
not
said,
here?
Yeah.
I think those two are the same.
Yeah, that's our youngest son out of 6 kids, he's the youngest.
Sorry, guys, we're still on camera. We gotta. Yeah,
Okay.
We're still live. Public at home is wondering why we're not organized. Gentlemen in the audience,
No, I live on
Have a good
North
night.
Street, but I walk
sorry.
my dog.
Gentlemen, we're still on camera, live TV. Sorry.
Okay, so now, next up is a notice of intent for 34 Pickering Street, DEP file number 14-1387. The applicant is the Danvers Community Y, and will have to recuse herself because she is in the butter. So that being said, it will just be us three that'll be voting on this. So go ahead and show us what you have, please.
And just for a point of clarification, that is, you still have a quorum with those 3?
Yeah, I would like to clarify,
All right.
I'd relayed to Devin earlier that it would have to be the 3 members that are here. So we do have a quorum with the 3, so you need 2 votes tonight. If the commission does vote, it would be a majority of who's here.
Okay.
So it would be 2 of the 3.
Yeah,
If
do you have the Mullen Rule in place if it goes?
we do have the Mullen Rule in place.
And how many other members are there?
1 other member that's not here.
Okay, so that individual could get in on.
Yeah,
on
she could
this.
watch the YouTube video, and then next meeting she could vote, no problem.
Okay, just want to make sure we're not giving
Yeah.
away any.
Yeah,
any
I don't
rights.
blame you.
Sure. Sorry, without introducing myself, I'm Charlie Ware. I'm with Hancock Associates. I'm the civil engineer for the project. I believe, this is John Soames. I believe your position is executive director, CEO. He's head honcho is the guy. And then Devin Morse obviously is it was the environmental scientist who did the notice of intent and flagged the wetlands on the site. I think most people are familiar with the site on Pickering Street. In gray, we have this is the YMCA, and this is the primary entrance. The existing parking lot is all in gray. This is here today. Down here to the southerly side of the site, there are wetlands. Down here, this was flagged by Devon. And then we have the 35-foot no disturb zone, and beyond that, the 50-foot no build zone. There's also on this site, interestingly enough, most of the site is in the floodplain. I don't know if folks know this area. That this line, this black line here, is actually the limit of the floodplain. So this area is the high spot, and everything around it is in the 100-year floodplain, which is associated. What's the name of the stream here? I forget. But yeah, but it's associated with that stream. And this blue line is there's also riverfront up in here, but we're not proposing anything remotely close to that area. So but we have defined the 200-foot riverfront area. To get to the project that we're proposing, well, a couple things. We were here, I think it was about 15 years ago, the installation of this gymnasium, and shortly after that was the installation of that gazebo. It turns out that the orders of conditions for both of those projects are still in place. We discussed filing a COC for those, which we still intend to do, but we wanted to talk to this commission first, just to get the public hearing open, so that if there's any issues with those, we can work those into the COC. On the site today, at the entrance, these are the two. We're proposing a new entryway in this location. This area is mostly paved today. We are losing a little bit of this green space in here, but for the most part, these improvements are already paved. We're proposing to put pavers in this area where there's already pavement. Actually, we're proposing a little bit of landscaping here where there is currently. It's actually where the handicap ramp is in this area. But this area is mostly paved. The area in here, this is an existing brick walk that goes over to this existing gazebo, so this is all being maintained. This is an existing brick patio which actually continues on up and covers that entire space. So what we're doing is we're proposing about half of that area to put a new addition on that, and that's to contain program space within the building. And then we have two access points here, and we wanted to formalize access up to those two doorways. So we're proposing a stone dust walkway up to those. All told, the new building footprint is about 1,800 square feet. It's not particularly large. The new impervious surfaces is about half of that. Now, to meet Mass DEP stormwater standards, what we're doing is, when we did the gymnasium, like I said, about 15 years ago, there's an infiltration system which exists underneath this grassed area. And what we've done is part of the NOI, we've submitted the hydrology and the stormwater management report, which documents how we meet the Mass DEP stormwater regulations. But the way we're achieving it is we're capturing actually existing rooftop as well as the new proposed rooftop, and directing more stormwater into we're enlarging the infiltration system which is there today, and that gets us to meeting our TSS removal and our infiltration and reduction in rates of flow. Interestingly enough, the outlet from that comes out to a pipe which empties into a big crushed stone area. Actually, it's more like riprap. It's about a 6-inch minus stone which is underneath that gazebo, and that exists today. That's where that was constructed when the gazebo and the gymnasium were put up many years ago. That's where it goes. So that's where the stormwater goes today, and we're matching that. There is certainly there is grassed area in this area, which I'm not 100% sure what the Y uses it for. I think just as an area for Yeah, childcare and summer camps and whatnot. We plan to continue to maintain that area. Obviously, the gazebo and the brick patios in here, we continue to want to maintain those. We're not proposing any new activities within that no disturb zone. Additionally, there is a small portion of the existing building, I think that's the pool actually, which is within the 50-foot no build zone. With our two additions are completely outside the 50-foot no build. So I don't think there's any waivers here because we're not proposing any new activities in those two zones. In addition to that, we're not proposing any changes in grades within the 100-year flood. So we're not losing any flood storage. So we meet the standard for that resource area. I think that might be about it. It's a fairly straight-ahead project. It's not we just really want to fix up the entranceway and provide a little program space for the citizens of Danvers. So, if you have any questions.
The yellow line is the 100-foot jurisdiction.
That's correct. I neglected to point that out. That is
So
the
that's
100-foot
the
buffer.
first addition by the entrance is outside of our jurisdiction. So
That's true. That's true. That's correct. But, well, yes, it is, because you have jurisdiction for the floodplain as well. So, but yeah, so that is out of your jurisdiction. That's correct.
Okay, and then the other just has that little bit on the corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're almost completely within your jurisdiction on that one.
Okay, before I turn over to questions, I mean, in my mind at least, if there's two open orders of conditions, those have to be closed before we could vote on the
Yes,
third.
absolutely.
So I guess that would be your number one priority.
We can get those in next week. We can get those in straight away. I didn't really want to do it in advance, just in case there was anything that came up tonight. We can incorporate any issues that you might have into those COCs, and then we'll take care of those.
No, but I would say, get those in the works, please. Okay, Chelsea, do you have any questions?
Yeah, down by that darker green area, there's like a scalloped edge there. What is that? What is that meant to represent?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
That's a tree line.
Tree line.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, it looks almost like a wall, or it's when we put it on there today, we just put the green and we just put it in as a solid line.
Yeah.
But that's where you have, it's really a tree line that's there in this.
Okay. Just because since the lighter area is maintained and used with like activity.
That's essentially it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering, could we have no disturb markers put along that tree line just so like activity doesn't leave that area that's already maintained?
Yeah, of course. In fact, I was expecting that this commission would probably require it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, they like to put the markers up. It's really standard procedure for them to require that. Yeah.
Just to make sure like no one mows too far, or, like no one runs in there. And can you go into a little more detail on the erosion control? I can see the line outlining where it will be, but what are you going to use?
Yeah, it really just, we're proposing a straw wattle along that area. And obviously, the wattle will have to be moved, when we're getting in and out of the property. But that is essentially the intention, is to put that straw wattle in place.
Okay. And how is construction going to access that area? Because I know the gazebo's kind of in the way.
Well, we have this area we can get by. The gazebo is here, but this is almost, that's almost 40 feet from the building to the gazebo.
I don't know if you are going to need any machinery, but.
Oh, certainly. I'm sure we'll need machinery because we're going to put a foundation in this area.
Right, okay.
So machinery will come in here and do work in there. And there is enough space between the building and the gazebo to get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was all the questions I had.
Okay, thanks. Michael, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the public? There are none? Okay, like I said previously, I think we're going to need to continue until you can get those certificates of compliance in front of us.
Of course.
We'll get that squared away before we can entertain voting on this.
Yep.
All right, so if someone can make a motion, we'll continue. And are you thinking you can have those applications in for our next meeting?
How soon do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, so, Georgia, 7 days prior to the next hearing deadline?
Yeah, that's fine. And knowing they don't need legal ads, I'm a bit more flexible on the submission.
Okay,
And then, so tomorrow,
let's
It's-
coordinate, yeah.
I can pull the files, because really, we have more information than you guys
Okay,
probably do.
Great,
So,
yeah, I believe it, yeah, I believe both DEP file numbers, so it'd be 14-1027 and 14-821 are the two that
821?
need to be closed.
Okay,
on.
and
Yep.
those don't sound too old, so.
Say
They're
again?
That those don't sound
definitely
too old.
older.
I know.
Yeah, that's
They're
good. So I'll
definitely
pull
20
those
years
tomorrow.
plus.
They happen this century.
Yes. But we can definitely coordinate that before the 14th.
Okay. So if someone can make a motion, we'll continue.
Sure, I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 34 Pickering Street, DEP file number 14-1387 to our next meeting on July 14th.
Is there a second?
I heard it, you said second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, George, is
Gee.
there any old and new business that we need to
No.
discuss?
I got
Thank
nothing.
you, commission members.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if someone can make a motion to adjourn, we will do that.
I will make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Mike, second that, please.
I second.
Oh, there she is.
Second it.
Welcome her
On a
back.
budding tonight.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, good night, everybody.
Thank
Night.
you. Hey, Mike, thank,